Nestled in the heart of the Namib Desert is an astonishing animal, so resilient and tolerant to the harsh weather conditions of Namibia. Now, this animal earned itself the title of being Namibia's official national animal. This is the mighty oryx. The oryx embodies characteristics such as power, pride, dignity, courage, and elegance. And it's only befitting that this animal actually is also on our coat of arms. What's so special about the oryx, you may ask? Now, an oryx can conserve water for months and withstand extreme weather conditions because its body can adapt to up to 40 degrees Celsius. This alone is fatal to any other animal, us human beings, but not the oryx. Sometimes in life, we are faced with impossible situations, and we're left with two situations: to fail or, like the oryx, adapt. What would you do? Many a times we find ourselves in situations in which we are reluctant to accept change, physical or mental, not getting the job you applied for, or perhaps catching that balance between your budget and the volatile repo rate. Other changes are more permanent and leave a void. Like losing a loved one, yet life expects you to go on. Spoiler alert, for as long as you live, change is inevitable. What is change? Change is the ability to make someone or something different or replace something with something else. Research by Kathleen Smith states that life's transitions involves losses. Losses such as death, a big move, the loss of a job, or relationship ending. Other changes are more positive, like graduating or getting the job. But this somehow can also leave you somewhat anxious. She urged that during these times of transition, one should not push away any grief or feelings, but rather acknowledge the process and learn the lessons from the experience. Change is the one thing that remains constant in life, and one of the most common reactions to change is resistance. Think of the last time you lived through change. What was your reaction? Over the years, MC, a management center, carried out significant research on change in the work environment and found 5 cores. Now, I want you to think about this because these 5 cores are cores that you may need to choose shortly after I explain them. Now, the cores, pardon me, are champions, chasers, converts, challengers, and changeophobes. Let me explain. The champions run with an idea. They don't take long. The chasers, they want to discuss. Let's discuss it before I make my decision. The converts, they seek evidence before they make their decision. The challengers, they ask the difficult questions before making the decision. And last but not least, these ones are the difficult ones. They are the tough ones. They will not be convinced, and those are the changeophobes. Now that you know the cause, which category do you fall in? I see some of you are thinking very hard. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no right or wrong answer. This is just you needing to be honest with yourself. Granted, change in the workplace may not necessarily play out as it would in your private life, but the principles are similar. In my life, I have also faced change. Changes that molded my life as I know it today. Growing up as a young girl, my dad worked in Oranjemund, so he didn't live in Windhoek. But the times that he was in Windhoek, him and I, our quality time was driving around the suburbs. We'd go to the nice houses. Now, I grew up in Soweto, in Golgothastraat. And taking that route and driving in Ludwigsdorf and all these fancy roads, you get to picture life and you're like, one day. I started falling in love with these beautiful homes, and that sparked my passion. I wanted to pursue a degree in architecture at the University of Wits. And unfortunately, just shortly after receiving my matric results, I received bad news. My mom passed on. It felt like somebody had pulled the rug out from under me. Imagine, I grew up in Bloemfontein, 7 years. I'm going to school that side. I come home. I'm getting excited, gearing up for varsity. And I want to go to Joburg, to the big city. And my mom passes on. I felt bad. My entire life changed. Imagine. Now I lost a mom. Do I go back to Wits? Possibly. My entire career needs to be redirected. And I am moving back now from Bloemfontein, not going to Joburg, but rather coming back to Windhoek. My dreams of furthering my studies in South Africa fell through the cracks. And my dream of being an architect got redirected. And now I had to go study media studies as well as industrial psychology at the University of Namibia. Feelings of anguish and loneliness consumed me. I found solace in 2 of my cousins. I was lucky enough. 2 of my cousins were actually in my class as well. I was going to be a loner because everybody else going to varsity had friends from high school. My high school was in Bloemfontein. Where do I get them? So these cousins of mine actually kept me busy. Now, I decided then that I needed a hobby to keep me busy. So I went to UNAM Radio and I told them, they need me. I don't need them, they need me. So I started working there. I used my circumstances to fuel my passion towards excelling in what I found myself doing. I adapted. I worked tremendously hard at school to ensure I passed and make my late mom proud, and cultivated a culture of continuous enhancement towards my craft as a radio presenter, which translated in unleashing my television presenting skills, as well as now being a sought-after master of ceremonies and brand influencer. To date, I cannot imagine my life any other way. But in retrospect, if it wasn't for the situation I found myself in, I wouldn't have been so motivated to push as hard as I did if I hadn't used that passion to fill the void I had. Don't get me wrong, my drive to succeed didn't fulfill that emptiness that my mom left, but it surely helped me manage. In this scenario, I was a chaser. I asked the questions. I didn't accept that. I asked God, why? Why my mom? Why now when I need her the most? Imagine. But I felt I'm not going to get the answers I needed. But the pain of knowing that I'd never see her, hear her laugh, or see her smile, or even feel her touch consumed me. I asked God so many questions, but eventually I came around, accepted my truth, and channeled all my feelings towards making my guardian angel proud. Fast forward, I'm a big girl now. I get the job of my dreams. And almost a decade, I know, right? How old am I? A decade into my tenure, same building, same office, same position. Can you imagine? I started feeling overwhelmed with feelings of inadequacy, feeling stuck. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do. But I felt like I needed more. I yearned for growth. I yearned for change. So to warrant that, I decided to invest in my self-development, and I went back to school. Then a job opportunity presented itself, which I gunned for. And guess what? I didn't get it. I didn't get it. My first reaction, I was angry. I was angry with myself. Why did I even try? Why did I apply? And I was angry with the panel. How could they not see? How could they not see I am ready? Now, this hurt. I felt like my efforts towards preparing for this opportunity were a waste of my time. I felt inadequate again. I was in my feelings. I allowed myself to process them thoroughly. I cried, I mourned, and after a week, I told myself enough is enough. I'm done sulking. I picked myself up, and I channeled all that passion towards other attainable goals. I adapted. I am now achieving my goals one by one. Here, I showed, again, traits of a chaser. I asked my questions, and I shared my feelings before wholeheartedly shedding off that disappointment. I adapted. And picking myself up, I realized that I'm stronger than what I felt. I divorced myself from the loss and fully immersed myself in other goals, which I put on the back burner initially. An update on this? That closed door translated to so many blessings that came into fruition. As we saw, Dr. Kathleen Smith's statement speaks to allowing oneself to heal, and by doing so, enabling one to accept and change and adapt. Channeling a loss, a redirection into a passion towards achieving one's goals is never easy, but requires determination, vision, consistency, and perseverance. And I am testament to that. In Oshiwambo, my language, there's a saying that says, Kula umone. In direct translation, this means grow and see or discern. But in my interpretation, based on my life experiences, I've come to learn that in life, we grow. We grow up with certain expectations of what our life should be. But more often than not, life throws curveballs and our plans don't materialize, which speaks to the growing through life aspects of things. Now, during this process is when we need to adapt to the curveballs by opening our eyes to our reality and adapting. Only then can we wholeheartedly grow through our life experiences. To become what or who you desire and to reach your goals, one must channel your inner oryx and make yourself, indispensable by adapting to change, being resilient and persistent. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with these few words. Know this, you are worthy and you are able. You are enough of all the success you desire. Thank you.